Trump vs. Iran, the ancient war strategy that could change everything. War isn't just a game of checkers, it's a complex game of chess, originating in India and refined in Persia, where shah meant king, and sharmat meant the king was helpless. The language itself reveals the depth of strategy. It's not just about putting an opponent in check, but knowing how to finish the game. President Donald Trump holds the stronger pieces, and Tehran knows it. That's precisely why Iran isn't trying to match America move for move. Instead, they are attempting to widen the board before Washington can decide how to close the game. This pattern has become familiar. Trump strikes Iranian military targets. Iran responds by pressuring commercial shipping. Trump tightens the maritime noose. Iran then threatens new energy routes. Each American move is answered not with matching firepower, but by shifting the pressure somewhere else. At sea, in oil markets, across Gulf capitals, and even within Washington's political debate. Recent U.S. Central Command actions confirmed a fresh wave of strikes on Iranian coastal defense and missile sites. This is part of an effort to reimpose a naval blockade on Iranian ports and degrade Tehran's ability to threaten Hormuz shipping. Iran answered with strikes on U.S.-linked targets in Bahrain, Kuwait, and Jordan, alongside cruise missile strikes that tragically killed and wounded mariners aboard tankers in the Strait. Tehran's goal is to make every American strike produce a wider, more complex problem. This isn't simple retaliation. It's a calculated counter-move, an approach Iran has used effectively before. Consider the lessons from the Iran-Iraq War, specifically the tanker war from 1980 to 1988. Tehran helped transform the Persian Gulf into a battlefield. The U.S. Navy launched Operation Earnest Will to escort reflagged Kuwaiti tankers through the Gulf. In April 1988, the frigate USS Samuel B. Roberts struck an Iranian mine during this mission. Just 4 days later, the Navy responded with Operation Praying Mantis, sinking or damaging a significant portion of Iran's operational navy in a single day. Iran didn't defeat the U.S. Navy. What they learned was far more profound. Mines, tankers, shipping lanes, and oil market anxiety can force a far stronger power to defend much more than just a single waterway. That strategic habit remains unchanged. Today, the Strait of Hormuz remains the central square on this board. The U.S. Energy Information Administration reports that oil flow through Hormuz averaged roughly 20 million barrels a day, about a fifth of global petroleum consumption. It's a critical choke point. But Hormuz may no longer be the only one. Iran is signaling it could leverage its Houthi allies in Yemen to threaten the Bab el-Mandeb gateway to the Red Sea, effectively putting a second vital energy artery at risk. Closing Bab el-Mandeb would force tankers around southern Africa, adding significant time and cost to global energy shipments. A one-choke point crisis is dangerous. A two-choke point crisis becomes a true test of American staying power. Washington also made an unforced error, handing Tehran an argument it didn't deserve. Trump briefly floated a 20% fee on shipping through Hormuz, only to drop the idea a day later, stating no one should be able to charge such a toll. The legal problem was glaring. The UN's International Maritime Organization had already declared there is no legal basis for mandatory tolls on an international strait under transit passage rules. America cannot credibly tell Iran it has no right to toll an international waterway while briefly considering a toll of its own. The larger danger here is that repetition could become a substitute for strategy. Reports indicate Trump convened a Situation Room meeting to consider an offensive wider than the current strikes near Hormuz, and he has publicly stated that strikes on Iranian power plants and bridges could follow if Tehran doesn't return to the negotiating table. Force is effective when it narrows an enemy's options. It fails when it multiplies America's obligations. Tehran is betting that every American strike, threat, and widened blockade will look like progress while simultaneously adding another location Washington must defend. Trump should refuse this bet. 3 disciplines would help him achieve this. First, stop making maritime policy in public. A major maritime policy should be thoroughly vetted for its legal basis, allied support, and enforcement mechanisms before ever appearing in a social media post. Second, clearly define the war America is actually fighting. Is this limited retaliation, a maritime security operation, coercive nuclear diplomacy, or an effort to dismantle Iran's coercive infrastructure? Each answer demands different targets, different limits, and a different explanation to the American people. Third, use force to narrow the war, not to expand it on Tehran's terms. American power should shrink Iran's options, not multiply Washington's burdens. The tanker war serves as a stark caution. What began as a limited escort mission escalated into a profound test of national will, alliance management, and escalation discipline. Washington cannot afford timidity, nor can it afford carelessness. Iran cannot defeat the United States directly, and it doesn't have to. Their strategy is to widen the board, raise the cost, and simply survive long enough to claim endurance as a form of victory. Trump holds the stronger pieces. He has put Iran in check more than once this year, but check is not checkmate. A regime under pressure can still escape, counterattack, and drag the fight into a costlier configuration if its opponent mistakes movement for strategy. Trump has the pieces to prevail. What he needs now is the discipline to prevent Tehran from choosing the next square on this dangerous geopolitical chessboard.